Yes, yes, yes. What are you saying?
Peace City brother.
You know this. All is well?
All is well, my brother.
I love it. I love it. Happy to see you here, my brother.
Likewise, Happy New Year.
Thank you, man.
Even though it's February, Happy New Year.
Yeah. Hi, Joanna. How you doing? You can unmute yourself for a bit.
Evening, guys.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. I'm looking forward to this evening.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Got a few more people coming, so gonna keep it casual for now.
All right. Sounds good.
Yes, yes.
Hey.
What's up, Renee? How are you?
I'm okay. Having a little situation with my device. Trying to get it to turn on properly. Okay. There we go. Okay.
Shoot, I could have lent you one of my phone tripods.
I know, right? Well, it's got like the case has a built-in stand, but it only stands horizontally, and my picture shows up upside down.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gotta get my life together.
Welcome. Glad to have you here.
Glad to be here.
Expecting a couple more people, so we're just gonna wait until probably like 6:05 if they don't show before then to get started.
Cool.
So nobody got my email, huh? I put together this really nice, beautiful email for everybody. And nobody got my email. That's
technology for you.
I'm telling you.
Technology, can't live with it, can't live without it.
It's Mercury retrograde right now too, so
yes, that too. That too.
I should be double checking all of my communication.
That explains a lot now that you brought that to my attention.
This is it.
When did it go in retrograde? Yesterday or?
It must have been like yesterday or today, I think, because I saw somebody mention a couple of days ago that we were in the pre-retrograde period. So
that
either they were there or were close.
Okay, now that I knew we don't sign new contracts during this period.
Double check all your communication. Make sure you're being heard right.
Yes.
Speaking gently.
Yes.
All right, we're going to give it 2 more minutes and kick this show off.
I was debating. But here I am.
Always. Faces are always welcome.
There you go.
Hi, Alicia.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, there you go. All is well. All is well. Okay, so I do have a couple more people that I was expecting, but we are gonna just keep moving along for now. And if they come, they will just have to jump in wherever we're at. So welcome everybody. Alicia, I sent you a direct message. Can you just check that please and let me know? Okay, never mind. So welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Spiritual Affluence, the second showing. I'm really, really grateful that everyone came out and joined me. And we're gonna cover a lot of stuff tonight. Like it's a lot of information. Last night I actually couldn't even get through the whole thing in 3 hours. So be prepared to be engaged, be prepared to take notes, be prepared to enjoy yourself, learn some new things, and, you know, just to be present with whatever is on your heart or in your spirit. And without further ado, let's get into this. So the first thing that I like to do with anything, and this is basically this principle you're going to hear throughout the entirety of this workshop, is to infuse intention into everything that we do. So at the start of this workshop is the perfect time for us to create some intention. So for me, what intention really is, intention is like the rudder that steers the ship. So we live in this universe, and we'll get more into this a little later, but we live in this universe where everything is energy. Energy is like the engine of the ship, right? And our attention basically directs where that energy goes. So I can put my attention over here, over there, and I'm kind of going any which way. But when I use my intention, that's when I start to actually set a course and move in a direction that's intentional, in a direction that I want to go, something that's been clarified and certain. So I'm going to share with you my intention for this workshop now, and then invite you all to set your own intention as well. I put this workshop together to help you to tap into your potential and your power by providing you tools and concepts and practices to live a high vibrational lifestyle. That's what this is all about. It's all about learning to raise your vibration. And if you've heard of the law of attraction, if you're familiar with things like The Secret, if you're familiar with the concept of manifestation, a lot of people talk about raising your vibration. A lot of people talk about like they talk about the law of attraction, they talk about manifestation, but they don't really get very clear on what it means to have a high vibration, how to do it, and how to use that vibration to actually create the things that you want in your life. So we're going to be doing all of that tonight. So let's take a minute or so to set an intention. And then we're going to do a short meditation on that intention. So if you have an intention, just give me a nod or a thumbs up, or like if your camera's not on or not working, you can just, I think there's a little raise hand tool or something like that. Just let me know. Okay. Just going to take about another minute to get your intentions together. And now we're just going to do a quick 5-minute meditation on that intention. So I'm going to guide you with some prompts through your meditation. But essentially, what I suggest that you do is to just focus on that thing, whatever it is that your intention is. Imagine what it feels like to actually be in that space where that intention that you're setting is your reality. And just experience what that feels like. Be present with that experience throughout the meditation. It isn't like meditation is not a right or wrong thing, so don't judge yourself or anything like that. If your mind goes elsewhere, that's perfectly fine. That's part of meditation. But do your best to enjoy it and to stay focused on your intention and on that feeling. So we're just going to close our eyes and take a deep breath and get centered. And just visualize your intention. Really allow yourself to tap in to that space, to that time. If it's at the end of this workshop, 3 hours from now, if it's somewhere else in the future, get really present in that space and time. Let yourself feel the good energy. Notice what's going on around you. Notice what feels different about you. And in your own time, take a really, really deep breath in and just hold it at the top. And exhale when you're ready. And take another deep breath in, this time breathing in possibility and potential. And breathe out any disbelief, any low vibrations, any heavy energy from out of your being. Breathe it all out. And in your own time, take another really, really, really deep breath. Breathing in all of the feelings of accomplishment that you get when your intention is manifested. And exhaling any doubt, any fears, any judgment, any self-criticism that might come up for you. This is your time. Whatever that means for you, this is it. You're in this space for a reason. So allow yourself to receive exactly what that thing is that's going to spark significant transformation in your life. Because the simple fact that you're here means that it's here for you. All that's left is to be open to it. Feel yourself centering into the present moment. Any worries or concerns from the day melting away. You are here to receive the gift of your own transformation. Let it be easy. Let it be natural. Let it flow. And so it is. And in your own time, just come back into this space. Join me back here, the digital screen. How was that for everybody? Throw out some answers. Feel free to unmute yourself and say something.
It was calming. Helped me
Nice.
to feel present.
Nice. Anyone else want to share?
Just trying to hang on to the words that you've used, purpose, potential, accomplishments, just so that I guess in the end, I can understand those better, or better for myself, I guess is what I'm saying.
Awesome. Thank you for saying that. What I'll say to that is that that's good, and at the same time, trust that those words are integrating into you as well on a deep level. Like we do a lot of work with our thinking mind, but our subconscious mind does a lot of transformational work for us as well. And intention is one of the ways to actually tune into that and activate that. So believe that you've done it. You know what I mean? Believe that the process has started, and you can let it go. And you'll start to see later on, like in a week, couple days, these words are going to start coming up and making more sense for you. All right, everybody. So meditation out of the way. Next, I want you to think of a song. Take 2 minutes, no more than 2 minutes, to think of a song. Pull it up on YouTube, right? A high energy song. Something that makes you feel really good. Not even 2 minutes, 1 minute. Think of a song, pull it up on YouTube, and let me know when you got it up. I got my song. I used to be a dancehall junkie when I was like in my 20s. So I got what my nephew, who's 18 now, would consider an old school dancehall song. I pulled up an old school dancehall song. Everybody ready? Okay, so we're gonna shake it up a bit. We're gonna get maybe a little bit uncomfortable, but trust me, this right here, this is like the magic dust that this kind of thing changes everything. So you're gonna play this song, play it loud, and you're gonna get up and dance to it. Like you would dance to it if you were at your favorite place. Like if carnival's your thing, if you were at carnival, you know, whatever's your thing, get up and dance to that song like you're in the midst of the most exciting party of your style ever. And dance until the song is finished, and then meet me back here. All right, you don't have to dance in front of your camera or anything like that. I'm about to get up and dance too, so don't worry. Like, I'm not asking you to do anything that I wouldn't do. I'm not gonna sit here and just be like judging you dancing and whatnot. We all gonna do this together. All right? So go ahead, play your song, get up and get in a groove and enjoy it. Enjoy it, enjoy it, enjoy it. All right, I'm back, but y'all take your time. Yes, welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. Y'all must have had the same song playing because you like all came back at the same time.
Well, to be honest, I didn't put on any music. I have a bit of well, what I done was actually just continue meditating, that's all.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I was having a bit of a difficult time trying to meditate the first time because of what's going on around me. So I find it hard to kind of focus. So it's like, okay, well, my focus needs more focus. So I took more time to meditate.
It's all good, brother, man. Everything is perfect. Don't worry about it at all. You know, don't worry about that. It'll come in time. But yeah, that's a good thing. Definitely making focus like a focal point. Focus on focus. That's definitely something I spend a lot of time doing. So how was that for everybody? Like to go from that really calm, meditative state to a high energy, dancing, moving, body involved. Go ahead, Renee.
I was good. It was really fun. I'm a little out of breath. It's the most movement I've done all day.
Same here.
That was good. I need to do that more often, actually. Like just that the reason.
How do you feel?
I feel good. I feel rejuvenated.
Yes. Nice. Anybody else want to share? Alicia, did you get to dance?
Yeah, I did. I chose Happy by Pharrell. Like it's like one of my favorite songs to get like into a really high vibe state. So I had a good time. Like it was interesting going from like feeling like kind of centered from the meditation because I did a lot of stuff today. So the meditation like helped me to kind of be more present. And then the dancing was like, I don't know, I'm kind of in a state where I'm kind of peaked and ready to learn. No.
Nice.
If that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. That's part of the reason we do it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Well, that's part of it. Like I said, that's part of it. So there's more to it. Like anybody, what do you think the point of like dancing around is? Why would we have a workshop about spiritual affluence and then like the second thing we do is dance around? Who has any guesses as to why that is?
Well, as you pointed out, it's about energy. So by us relaxing ourselves, we're able to be present to receive whatever is going to be presented in this workshop. And I think by dancing, you're actually bringing in that positive energy to, I guess, seal the deal, or to pretty much seal the deal.
Yeah, I like that. Anybody else?
Because we're talking.
Go ahead.
Because we're talking about energy here, right? Positive energy. So with positive, music, it's gonna bring that. It's gonna help to bring in, whatever it is that you're teaching us. So, yeah, good stuff.
Yes, brother. Yes, brother. Thank you. Thank you. That is definitely part of the reason that we do it for sure. Anybody else want to share really quickly? Okay, I'm gonna let you in on the other half of the secret, right? I feel like when we're talking about spirituality, right? A lot of people think that it's a very heady thing. Like a lot of people concepts and beliefs, all these things that seem to exist in our heads. What I've learned about spirituality is that the body actually has to get involved. The body is a part of our spiritual being. Like we're spiritual beings, we have bodies, body must be a part of it, right? So getting the body involved is actually like, it actually helps us to connect with on more of a subconscious level, more of an intuitive level, the manifestation process, because thought initiates manifestation, right? But the first form of manifestation is the action that you take with your body. Feel me? That's the first form of manifestation. And the other reason is that our bodies hold memories. Like they are literally like another part of our mind. They hold different memories. Sometimes when we feel pains or tension in certain places, those things are clues to emotional causes that we may or may not be aware of, or things that are happening on a subconscious level. Our body actually lets us know those things, but our body also holds the memories of our traumatic experiences. It also holds our habits and what we do on a daily basis. We do the same thing with our body over and over and over again, right? So as we're trying to change, we're transforming ourselves, we're transforming our habits. Changing what we do with our body is key to that, like breaking up routines. We have to get our body involved. And again, dancing is a very high vibrational way to do that. It also helps to loosen up the energy that's in your body, because your body is energy, right? And those tensions and pains that we feel are like stuck, stagnant energy. Dancing around helps to free that up and move it around and kind of get it out. So yeah, that is the reason we do it. Again, it definitely does prep us for everything that we're about to learn. It puts us in a very focused, attentive state. But yes, thank you again for being here. Welcome to Spiritual Affluence once again. And I'm thankful that everybody were stuck with me through that, because it's kind of, I think the first time I did that, like I learned that from one of my teachers, and I was like, okay, well, I'm open to anything, but I wasn't expecting to be dancing today. I'm gonna keep it real with you. But once I felt how powerful it was, I made it a frequent practice of mine. But yeah, just to like introduce you to me a little bit more. Again, my name is Kashai Ming, and I'm a certified life coach. I'm somebody who has been interested in spirituality literally my whole life. Like I was raised in the Seventh-day Adventist church, and I actually was really interested in church when I was a kid. I was really interested in God and Jesus. And when I was about 14, I decided to explore Christianity outside of the context of my church and what they were teaching me. And the stuff that I was learning was kind of troubling to me. And I decided to move away from the traditional practice of Christianity. And I just became more and more open from that point on. And my journey became a spiritual journey as opposed to a Christian or religious journey. So I, over these years, have done so many things. Like I studied the law of attraction. I've studied the Hermetic principles. I've dabbled in Taoism. I study A Course in Miracles, a lot of other things as well. And in my 20s, I got into personal development and was following people like Robin Sharma, Tony Robbins, Abraham Hicks, Napoleon Hill. I've read like a lot of books or listened to a lot of books on spirituality and personal development, watched thousands, probably tens of thousands of YouTube videos at this point, and even attended seminars. And all of those things that I was doing, I was constantly learning, and my life was getting better in a lot of ways, but there was always something missing. So here I am, 20 years after that 14-year-old boy started on his spiritual journey, about to go 35 in like 10 days or something like that, like 10 or 11 days. And I get it now. Like something finally clicked for me. The thing that was missing, I figured out what it was. And it helped all of those different things, which over the years, because I was missing this one thing, those things ended up feeling disjointed. They ended up feeling like, well, I learned that for no reasons. A lot of it felt pointless. But having this key piece has allowed everything to click together, and it creates like this beautiful ecosystem of consciousness. And that everything that we're going to talk about tonight is either preparing you to receive this one thing, or the one thing, or how to actually cultivate that thing. So before we actually dive into the workshop, I would love to hear a little bit more about each of you, what you're up to right now, what you're doing, if you like, maybe if you have some goals in the near future or goals for this year, and the reason that you're here tonight. Who wants to go first?
I'll go. So hi everyone, my name is Alicia. I actually do a lot, or I've done a lot. I have about 2 years left of medical school, and a lot of that got derailed because of finances. So I've been here working for a good bit, currently working as a COVID swabber. So if you ever go away, you'll probably see me doing a test. But I've also been really interested in spirituality and law of attraction and crystals and healing and Reiki and all that type of stuff. And I'm always interested in learning more. I've known Kushai for a while. I know he's a wealth. He has a lot of information on the topic. So when he told me about the workshop, I was really excited to come and just learn a bit more, because I feel like there's always something else that you can learn. Like even if you've been on the journey for a while, there's always something new that you can figure out, or a different perspective that will help you to kind of sort through your thoughts a bit better and make things a bit more clearer. So yeah, I'm just here to learn, and yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, I could go next. I'm Winnie, and like Kashai, I was raised Seventh-day Adventist. And I guess, I don't know when I kind of started the spiritual journey. I believe we're always on the journey, just sometimes it's not intentionally. So I think intentionally, I started this journey in 2017 when my brother died. I couldn't make sense. I couldn't reconcile my childhood beliefs with what I was feeling and experiencing with my grief. And so I knew that I needed to connect with God just like me and God. So that's kind of where my journey started. Now, fast forward, I decided to get certified as a holistic therapist. So I got certified in 2019. And usually I'm on the other side of this type of situation where I'm teaching or I'm pouring into other people. And I know it's important for me to continue to learn, for me to be poured into, so that I can stay full to be able to give to others. So that's why I'm here.
Okay, like Renee and Alicia, who I both know. Alicia and I used to train together at Shorin Ryu Karate a long time ago. I grew up Seventh-day Adventist as well. Yeah, I just eventually, when I became 18, of course, I done what most people done, left church, want to experience life because, growing up Seventh-day Adventist, you was always, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. So for me, it was like, I want to experience the world sort of thing. And I know I see you laughing, Krishai, because you know exactly how it goes. Like, you could do anything, Um, so yeah, that's what happened to me. As of 2019, I went to a men's group where I met Mr. Kushai, but I actually came after. But I went to a men's group, and because I was going through some issues and stuff like that, and I wanted to talk with a man who was going through the exact same issues. Um, as the year kept, as the year went on, I had this very strong feeling, like I don't know, I can't really describe, but it was a very positive feeling. And I said to the group that day that, going forward, 2020 is going to be a whole different year for me. I'm going to walk in my purpose. I'm going to find my, and walk in my destiny, find my purpose sort of thing. And it's happened exactly as I felt it would be. Last year, I would say I'm intuitive. With energies and feelings and other stuff I can't really explain. So I'm here tonight because I want to learn, I guess, how to raise my frequency to be able to sharpen that intuition. So therefore I know what it is and I can be guided by it, if you understand what I mean by that. And that's it.
I guess that just leaves me then. I just had seen something on Facebook that you had put up, Kashai, and it just spoke to me. A lot of what was in, I guess I could call it an ad. It just had so much information in it. I liked the way that it was presented, and it just said something. So I said, you know what? Hey, let's just sign up. I teach, and I get a lot of fulfillment out of that. My husband and I own a small granola business, and there's fulfillment in that as well. But like you were saying earlier, and I've struggled with this for a long time, is just finding that peace, that purpose. And I'm not sure that I've found it yet. Like, I love what I do, but there's just something that's just not there. So I think I'm just trying to find that, and, open my mind to what you have to deliver this evening.
Thank you, everybody, for sharing. I'm so grateful that you're all here. And I gotta say, honestly, Joanna, like, I know everybody else. So for you to be here is incredibly special to me because we've never met before. So everything that you said about the advertisement and how it spoke to you really, really touches me. And I'm really thankful that you showed up. We are gonna be talking about exactly what you're describing. And you may or may not have come across some of these ideas or practices before. I thought what Alicia said was really key. No matter what you've learned, you can always hear it in a different way. Somebody always delivers it a little different. There's always something else to learn. So the key to learning is intention. Your intention dictates what you get out of something. So this is why we set our intention at the beginning of the workshop, right? Because we're creating an intention for you to receive from this program whatever you need from it. Everybody's needs are going to be different. But the way that the universe works is that it will give you what you ask for. Trust me, it will. So set your intention, be very clear on your intention, revisit it in your mind. And if you want to share, if anybody wants to share their intention really quickly, we can do that too, but revisit it as we go throughout these different practices and these modalities and these concepts and be present with it, like bring it into everything that we're learning. So you're always in a space to be able to receive what you're looking for. Did anybody at all want to talk about the intention that they set? I'm gonna go ahead and share mine first because, yeah, I like to be like a little guinea pig, so I'll go first. But my intention for this workshop, other than the one that I set as the overall workshop, like my intention is that when this workshop completes, we are all gonna have a high vibrational experience. We're gonna be in a high vibration. We are going to feel spiritually affluent. And you are gonna know that thing that you were looking for from her. That's my intention. Anybody else want to share? Cool. You keep it moving. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just set my intentions as just being able to have a higher frequency so I can sharpen my intuition. That is the thing I said I want to do this year. So like I said, like with that, I can pretty much move according to my intuition. You know, it's a great thing to have. You know, before I used to think it was strange to have, or it was weird, or sometimes I would use my own I would use my career as, you know, the reason why I understood that better. But when I look back on all those experiences that I went through and all the things that I have witnessed and seen and felt, it all made sense that it had nothing to do with the training that I had received as a police officer and whatnot. It was exactly that. It was my tuition that, you know, I had been seeing all along or feeling all along. So that's my intention. It's just to raise that frequency so I can just be able to, you know, govern myself accordingly to that, to move according to that as well, you know, because I believe that that is going to help me to reach where to reach the level I would like to reach in my life.
Yes. Intuition is super, super important. Somebody else had that same intention in the workshop last night. And what I told them was that there isn't anything specific that talks about intuition, right? What I just realized as you were speaking is that these practices actually do help you to train your intuition, because intuition, again, all about intention. So you got to set your intention to know that you want to receive through your intuition and keep practicing that, right? Another part of it is raising your vibration, because that's when you're in a space of trust. Like if you're in a low vibration basically means negative emotions.
Mm-hmm.
There's no trust in negative emotions. There's doubt, distrust, fear, all of those, like shame, guilt, all of those kind of things, and you don't have access to trust. So your intuition's always there. You can always choose it, but it's almost as if you don't have access to it.
Mm-hmm.
Raising your vibration puts you in a place of trust where you can connect with your intuition. So I want to give you that now at the beginning, so that that's something that's stored into you for the duration of the workshop, so that you can receive specifically towards your intention, since yours is actually a little bit outside of the scope of what we're going to cover.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? Take one more share if anybody wants to.
I'll share. My intention for tonight was to elevate my vibration through new information that helps me feel aligned to my purpose. So that's usually my intention for everything. I want to be aligned to my purpose. When I know that I am operating from alignment, then I know everything is gonna make sense. It's gonna fall into place. I'm gonna receive the information that's meant specifically for me, that's gonna impact what I do. So that's my only intention, is to receive the information and be able to apply it to my purpose.
Ashe. Ashe. I love it. And that, again, like once we get to this key piece that I keep talking about, that's exactly what it is. It is basically the same thing as living in alignment, but it's just it's put in a different way. So now we're just gonna expand on a little bit on your intention, right? Actually, you know what? Let's create an intention for the year at this point. All right. So just take a minute right now, not even an actual minute, but just think about, start letting your intention for this year to raise up into your consciousness. And while you're doing that, I want you to also think about, better yet, tell me what comes to your mind when you hear the term spiritual affluence. Just list a couple words. You can just like blurt them out, kind of thing. Be very intuitive with it. Don't think too much. Whatever comes up, just go ahead and say it.
I want to say like wealth, richness, but not intangible things, obviously. That's what I think of. Like an affluent person, I think they are, wealthy, well read, they know a lot. So that kind of vibe. I don't know if it makes any sense, but yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I'm soaking all those vibes up. Yes.
Yeah, just abundance comes to mind.
Yes. Love it. Love it. Love it.
And that's a word I think I've been hearing for the last 2.5 years, is abundance. If I talk to different people, that word comes up quite a bit, so.
Must be ready to receive it, my brother.
And I am doing exactly that. I am open and ready to receive whatever it is the universe has to offer me in reference to that.
And it's a lot. It's a
Yep.
lot. It's a lot. So I love this. I love both of this. Abundance, yes. Wealth, yes. And tangible too. Tangible wealth too. Tangible things are spiritual. Tangible things are spiritual. Like we don't have to draw that line. You know what I mean? Like it's such a practice to draw a line between material things and spirituality. It's really common to do that. And part of the reason is because we can really become distracted with material things if we don't understand our purpose in our lives, or if we don't understand how to get there. But material things are reflections of who we are. So when we look at it from that perspective, and we look at it as the luxurious things that we have in our lives are really a result of us pouring into ourselves first and acknowledging ourselves at a very high level. And then those kind of luxurious things show up around us. But affluence, man, this is one of my favorite words. It basically means a flow of abundance. It doesn't mean money. It doesn't mean anything particular, right? And spiritual literally means everything. Spirit is everything. We're going to get a little bit into that a little bit deeper into that in a bit. But for now, just think about, I put together a list of words for 2021, right? And as you're compiling this vision of, or this intention that you have for the year, I'm gonna read you these words, and I'm gonna encourage you to just feel into them with your body and to use them in your visualization, because we're gonna do a visualization in a second. Expansion, alchemization, which is really just changing heavy, negative anything into positive anything. Affluence, flow, evolution, transformation, and metamorphosis. Breadth, depth, burgeoning, flourishing, thriving. High vibrational, God or goddess, and embodying that, like really understanding who you are. We're going to get into that in a minute as well. Highest self, intention, again revisiting this word, because the goal is to infuse intention into everything you do. And luxury. So we're going to do a quick visualization, right? Just for 1 minute. And at the end of that visualization, we're going to write out our vision of ourselves. We're just going to, again, expand on it a little more. The goal here is to feel into the vision. Be present with the person that you're going to be at that time. If doubt comes up, cool, like save it for later, not now. Doubt, you can tap into doubt whenever you want to, but in this moment, feel perfectly aligned with that person that you see yourself as. Think about December 31st, right? What have you done? What have you accomplished? What shifts have you made? What character traits have you developed? How have you manifested your intention? How do you feel? So think about that, think about those words, and let's start a visualization. All right, that's the minute. So let's go ahead and take that vision. If you want to do like a day in the life kind of journal entry, or if you just want to speak generally on what it's like to be that version of yourself, go ahead and write that down now in your journals. Okay. So this is an exercise that you can obviously pick up later, which I suggest. If you didn't finish it, or even if you did finish it, revisit it and expand on it some more. Always infusing intention, always being in the feeling. How was that? Let's hear how that was for a few of you and how you're feeling after doing it.
That was really good for me. It's actually one of my favorite exercises to do. I don't know, I don't have I call it scripting, I guess, where I just write in the present tense something that I want for my life. But I was chuckling as you were giving the instructions because I was just sharing with Kirani yesterday how I found one of my old journals, and I found one of my previous scripting exercises, and it actually came true, like literally to the detail.
What?
It was about taking my children on a family trip. And just yesterday, it reignited that passion for doing this exercise because I hadn't done it in a little while. And I said, obviously it works. So I need to continue doing it. And then you come and ask me to do it. So I'm like, there we go, alignment again. Hey. So yeah, I was excited to do that, get back in the flow.
Amen.
I didn't finish because I'm a writer, so
yeah, I didn't think you were finished.
So yeah, thank you.
No problem. I'm glad that you got to experience that synchronicity. That means that it's exactly what you needed to hear. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Let's take one more, please.
I'm just going to be really honest. At the moment, I feel very much out of my depth. I think that you guys come with a little bit more knowledge about all of this than I do, and I think I'm just still trying to find my way. Yeah, I don't even know what you guys are writing. I don't even know where to begin, to be honest.
Okay, did you write anything?
No, because I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be writing. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be. I just don't know. I'm just being very honest. Like your words of evolution and transformation and flourishing, like those speak to me, but I don't know what to do with them.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being vulnerable and speaking up about that, because I would have hated to continue without you, with you feeling, those emotions. So what I want to first say is that there is no right or wrong way to do this. Whatever speaks to you is what I want you to do. In this particular exercise, also, I want you to trust the process, because there's an intention in how this workshop is laid out. And we're going to get to the place where I start explaining a little bit more about these concepts. But what we're doing right now is really, literally, we're diving right into some of the practices that can help us to break up the old habits. Like, we're going to talk about all of this stuff in a lot more depth. But essentially, whatever we experience and whatever we feel in life is usually just a habitual way of thinking and feeling. It's a belief system that we've been practicing over and over again until the point that we identify with that thing. In order to transform, in order to evolve, in order to develop or change in any way, the most fundamental thing is to learn to practice something else. And that's it. it may seem complicated at first. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, and there are a lot of moments. There's been a lot of moments, when I tell you a lot, I mean even recently, where some of the practices that I've learned or some of the things that I've been taught didn't make sense to me because of where I was at that time. Some of the things I couldn't hear because I was just in a place where I was basically rejecting anything that could help me. That's just what I was feeling. But you are here for a reason. Believe that. I believe it. I know it. I want you to trust that. You are here for a reason, and you will get from this workshop exactly what you need.
I have to share the same sentiments as Joanna. You know, this is something that's brand new to me as well, but I do believe that I will learn something out of this. And that's what I always believe. I'm going to learn something out of whatever it is. I'm one to listen, think about it a lot, like go into a lot of deep thought, and then do later. I'm that type of person. So right now I'm taking everything in, and then it's going to give me a lot to think about, and then it's going to be a lot of things that's going to happen after that. That's how I operate myself.
Got you.
So yeah, this is all brand new for me. So I'm just going to enjoy this as much as I can.
Yes, thank you, man. Thank you for saying that. And I love that, because here's the thing, right? We're gonna, again, so much of this stuff we're gonna get into later, but I'm just gonna touch on it briefly. When you get uncomfortable, it means you're on the right path. Sometimes you get uncomfortable because you put yourself in a bad situation. This ain't one of those times. You're in a safe space here. I got you. Trust me, whatever questions you got, I will answer them. I will stand by you. I'll make sure that you take something out of this. So trust me, trust me, trust me. Like, I put this together in a way where we are literally going to touch on all of these things that you have brought up, that you've expressed. And just to go back quickly to what I was saying about the comfort zone, like once you get on the edge of your comfort zone, that means that you're about to learn something new. You're about to learn something transformational.
I believe that.
So this is it, man. And I'm going to just save it for later. We're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. I promise. All right. So now we're going to get into some of the foundational stuff. I'm going to help you for those of us who are less familiar with these practices and concepts, you're going to get to learn a little bit more about it. For those of you who already know, you're going to get to hear from my perspective, my unique perspective that I've put together over these 20 years that I feel old saying that, like I've been doing something for 20 years. And I could not imagine saying that. Like, I just still feel like I'm 25. Anyway, so some of you did mention that you have spiritual practices. Let's talk about that again. Let's each person kind of share your relationship with spirituality and some of the practices that you do and how those things make you feel.
I don't want to always go first, but I'll go. My relationship with spirituality, I think it's still in progress. But I guess I've come to realize that God, power greater than myself, spirit, creation, whatever I want to call it, resides in me. And so the more I nurture my relationship with myself, I become more spiritual at the same time. So a lot of my spiritual practices have to do with me. So it's all like intuition layered. sometimes I really feel like going to church. Like sometimes I really want to sing like the hymns because it nurtures my spirit. And then I go and I do that. And then other times I really just want to sit underneath the moon. And I'm the crazy person that you'll see at Church Bay, like at night, usually in the summer, just soaking up nature and feeling connected to source, to creation. I used to be really dependent on metaphysical tools like crystals and sage and stuff like that. And I still have them and I still use them when I'm led to, but I no longer feel like that defines my spiritual practice. I just kind of go with what feels right for me each day. And I've got to a place where I'm finally okay with that. So just for a little context, like I said, I was raised Adventist. Also, I work for the Bishop of Bermuda, who's an Anglican. And then I'm the religion correspondent for the Royal Gazette. So a lot of my life is like religion. And I don't feel connected to any of those things. And so at first it was hard to exist in these spaces until I realized that everything is the same thing and it's all interconnected. And as long as I am, I guess, authentic, then I can show up as myself wherever. So if I decide to go to church on a Saturday, I go to church just as I am, you know, earrings, whatever. When I go to work, I show up just as I am. And when I write for the Gazette, I write just as I am because my spiritual practice has taught me that it's just about becoming more me. So anyway, that's my practice. And as far as specific things, like, you know, I do meditate every day. I find that it just helps me to be intentional. And I journal a lot. And I find journaling is a form of therapy for me. I write myself into clarity. So those are my practices.
Amen. I love that.
Good stuff.
Good stuff indeed.
I'm yet to do any sort of journaling, but I can echo somewhat of the sentiments that Renee had just spoke about a few seconds ago. So yeah, I'm pretty much the exact same in that way. But again, it like I said, it feels more like I said, this intuitive thing. Like it, wherever it leads me, I go. You know what I mean? And like I said, I'm just there to just sharpen it up and just, that's all I'm doing is just trying to sharpen it up. You know, I have read a lot of books and haven't finished a lot of books because of this intuition. You know, whatever resonates with me, I read. You know what I mean? So I'm reading tons of books at the same time, but never finished them. You know what I mean? Because sometimes whatever I'm reading, it doesn't sit right or it doesn't resonate with me at the time. So I actually put it down and will pick up something else because that's where this is lead me to.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it, you know, for me.
So good practice. So good practice to developing intuition.
Yeah,
Like
you mentioned you know, a lot of authors that I was like, yeah, I'm reading that, or I've read some of that, I've read some of this, I've read some of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Alicia, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go. I've been kind of lazy, I'm not even gonna lie. Like I've been lazy with like doing the things. Like I know what I need to do, but I haven't always been doing it. Like I decided that I want to wake up in the morning and like script about how I want my day to go that day. And then at the end of the day, come back and write about how the day actually went. And then figure out like what areas I can work on, like going forward, like where I kind of slipped up or whatever in the day, or things of that nature. And I know I need to do it, but I haven't been doing it consistently. But I will say I have been meditating a lot more than usual. Like right before bed, I always do my meditation, and it really just helps to center, I guess, to give me a bit more, because I do a lot of thinking in my head. Like I talk to myself a lot, and it's really good for me to be in a space where I'm not doing as much thinking. So I find that it's really been helpful for me to do that on a daily basis so that I'm not overwhelming myself with so many unnecessary thoughts. But I know I do need to be more consistent with the practice.
I'm gonna just pause right quick and give you a suggestion, right?
Okay.
Just remove the word need.
Yeah.
Just because you don't need to, you know what I mean? Like you are, and we're about to get into this, like you are a divine being. There is nothing that you need.
Okay.
Everything that you need is within you.
Mm-hmm.
And your purpose on this life is to bring forth what you choose to do. And when you switch your words from I need to I choose, or I need to my intention is, or I am planning this, and here are my actions, and sometimes not even worrying about saying it, just go ahead and doing it, like shortening the gap between thought and action. But it creates a much more empowering relationship with whatever those things are. Because when you say, like, I know for me, like when I'm saying I need to do this and this, I'm being self-critical.
Right, that's true.
You
And
know?
then when you don't do it, you kind of feel badly. Oh crap, I was supposed to do this today.
And
But
it's
who
all
told you that you were
BS.
supposed to do that?
This is it.
Like it's about putting rules on yourself that you actually don't really need to do. So I understand that mindset shift completely, and I appreciate you for calling me out on that.
Awesome. I'm glad. Yeah, that's something that I've been practicing a lot lately as well. So I thought I would share it.
I appreciate it.
My pleasure. All right, Jana, do you have any spiritual practices that you're currently doing?
No, I don't have any spiritual practices, whatsoever. But what Winnie said was that stuck with me, was the whole just connecting with something. As she said, she just goes down to Church Bay and she connects. And I find that interesting, and obviously connects with what are you feeling? And as I said earlier, like this is all brand new. It's very interesting to listen to what you were all saying and just gathering my thoughts around it. Just to see, as you said, if I can vibrate higher and find that purpose some way, somehow.
Yes. And you're already doing it. Trust me, to be in a space with these people like Renee and Alicia in particular, like these two women who are actually doing things in spirituality right now, for you to line up with them means that your vibration is raising. And if it calls to you, I would suggest like maybe exchanging information, or I don't know how you work on social media, but following them on social media, because they share some really amazing stuff. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Of course. Thank you for being here and being so open. Like you have no idea how much I appreciate that. So thank you everybody for sharing that. And I'm just going to take one answer for this question, right? But we talked a lot about these spiritual practices and how they make us feel. But if there's one reason that it's important to have a spiritual practice, or to believe in spirituality at all, what would you say that is? What would your one reason be?
So I want to say connection, and I kind of don't want to say like connection to something outside of myself, because I know I am God, God is me, like all of that type of stuff. But for me, it's more about getting out of my head and connecting to something that's going to bring me more clarity. And that's why I find that meditating really helps for me, because it stops me from thinking so much. Because I can overthink till the cows come home. Like if that was a superpower, that's probably mine. So it really helps me to get more clear and get more centered and just quieting my thoughts so that I can be more connected to source, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? You hit the nail right on the head, right? Connection. But what you said after that was so on point, because if, like, for me, I haven't always known what the reason to have a spiritual practice is, but eventually I realized what it was. And it's because we start to learn who we really are. And that's what Alicia said, like, we are God and God is us. And having a spiritual practice, studying spirituality, starts to actually show you what that means. And it's really true. Like this universe, when I say this is a vibrational universe, every single thing that we interact with on a physical level has a vibration. It's vibrating. And that's why we can interact with it. If you think of vibration on a subtle level, we can use an example of radio waves. It's a very overused example, but it's overused because it works. So a radio station, Power 95, broadcasts its frequency at 94.9 megahertz, right? It's waves in the air. If we tune our radio frequency to Power 95, the vibrations link up and we receive through our speakers the message that they're broadcasting. It's the same thing with when we touch things, when we smell things, when we hear things, when we see things. We're using our vibrational receptors, which are our senses, to interact with vibrational waveforms that live at different densities. They vibrate at different frequencies. So what we're gonna start learning now is like, and what I just suggest that you continue to build your spiritual practices and knowledge, but with the intention of discovering what it means to be God. And this is not a blasphemous statement. This is almost like a worshipful statement. This is complete acknowledgement to the divine. When you understand that you are God, you start to live a different way. Like you don't take, it's not something that it's something that you take seriously, like in a beautiful way, because you get to be a representation of the divine in this reality, you know? And all of the things that we attribute to God, like, or the universe, or whatever that you want to call it, spirit, source, things like omnipresence, being able to be everywhere at once, omniscience, being all-knowing, omnipotence, being all-powerful. We are, like, literally what it means to be omnipresent, being everywhere at once, means that God is literally everything. They don't teach you that in church, but when you break it down, like, that's the only possible thing it can mean. To be infinite means to be all enveloped, like everything is infinite. Infinity discludes nothing. And we are a part of that infinity. We are literally the fabric of the universe. We are literally pieces of God. And those things that we attribute to that divine principle are things that live within us, things that actually exist within us, that we can learn to tap into. And that's the whole purpose of spirituality. And it's like, when you think of yourself as a human, right? The conditioning that we've received around being human basically means that we're limited in almost every way in some sense. Needing or wanting or desiring to change and being a limited human being is almost impossible. That's why self-doubt kicks in. That's why self-sabotage kicks in, laziness, etc., etc., etc. Because we only have been taught one narrative, that we're human. And we start to discover this other narrative, I'm God. We can identify with that. Now we're quantum beings. Now we have access to infinite power. Now we have access to infinite knowledge, and we can do anything because God can do anything. So it's a much more empowering perspective. Excuse me. So, yeah, now I'm going to get into some of the concepts that I've kind of been alluding to all this time. And one thing that I want to put out there before we actually get into it is that I realize that on this spiritual journey, there are thousands and thousands of spiritual teachers, and they all say a lot of different things. I think the really good ones all say the same thing in a lot of different ways, to be honest. But it can be confusing at times. And as Alicia was saying, the part of the point of getting a spiritual practice or involving a spiritual practice in your life is to create clarity. And sometimes when there's like different voices and different practices and all of these different things happening in your life, you're like, okay, well, what is true? What's not true? Like, what do I do? Where do I start? I have a tool or tip that I use that helps me to know which spiritual practices are right for me. And this goes beyond spirituality. This is with anything, any kind of belief or concept that you're considering or listening to. Is, does this thing empower me? If it empowers you, it's worth including in your belief system. If you feel it and it resonates with you and you're like, yeah, okay, I understand how that is gonna allow me to make a shift in my life. If you can feel that energy, even if it's not as clear as I spoke it just now, but on an intuitive level, on a feeling level, if you can feel that it will empower you, or even if you ask yourself, can this empower me? Will this empower me? Does this empower me? That right there is a very powerful way to know what to include into your belief system. So the first thing we're going to talk about is manifestation and the law of attraction. So Joanna, like what we were doing earlier, the journaling, the visualization, and all of that kind of stuff, those are practices that put the law of attraction into practice. You know, law of attraction, what we're going into is theory right now. Obviously, most people start with theory. We start with practice, literally just to throw you in at the deep end and get you used to doing. Because as I was saying before, spirituality is so much in the head, but where it actually takes place is in the actions. So we want to always, everything that we learn here, we're learning with the knowledge that at some point, as soon as possible, we are going to bring this into reality through our actions, even if it's in just a small way. So manifestation is a principle of the law of attraction. Basically, what the law of attraction means is that everything that we experience in our life is a result of something we think, we feel, or that we believe. Everything that we think and feel is a frequency. It's a vibration. And as we already mentioned, everything in the universe has its own frequency. And going back to that analogy of the radio station and how you tune one thing to the other, the same with our life situations now. The perspectives that we hold in our mind show up in our exterior life. It happens on so many levels. Like, it happens in this very subtle manifestation way, but it also happens because when we put ourselves in these low vibrational, which again is just negative emotions, when we're in those spaces, we have access to things that look like that. So if I wake up and stub my toe and get frustrated, my mind is geared to irritation, and I start noticing all of the irritating things. Oh, the dishes are in the sink. Oh, I got to do this, that, and the other. And on the other hand, if I wake up and meditate and feel clear and calm, I go upstairs and just wash the dishes, because they're like, okay, like, it's not even a big deal. Doesn't even enter my mind. It's not something that irritates me, or I overlook it completely and do something totally different. So that's another level that it happens on, like, where it happens on the subtle level, but it also happens in a way that we can see with our own actions and our own the way that we interact with life. In this process of manifestation, our role is to desire. Our role is to, as an aspect of the divine, our role is to experience and be and do things that have never been done before, live these emotions that we're feeling inside of us, whatever it is. Just feel confident and do that, or pursue it. The universe's role is to provide the how. It's actually to fulfill those desires that we have. So think of it as, I like to think of it like this, right? If you are too attached to the desire that you want, like if you're micromanaging this desire, if you're like constantly checking up on it, what that means is that you are in a space of distrust with the universe or with God. So if you got kids, like I do, I have a daughter, she's 4, and she thinks she's the boss sometimes, and she thinks that she needs to micromanage me sometimes. Like, if I'm making her dinner, she'd be like, "Daddy, are you finished like making my dinner yet?" And I'm like, "Sis, I got this covered." You know what I mean? Like, I got your dinner covered. Trust me. All you got to do is sit there. It's going to show up. You don't need to help, because I know what I'm doing. Right? So just think about God. Think about the universe. Think about Source as the parent in this relationship, and you are the child. Source is infinitely more powerful than we are as parents. We want our kids to have faith in what we can do for them, right? That same faith is what we have to channel into our relationship with the divine. God has us. God has us. Just like I said at the beginning of this, like, I got you. Like, God is saying that times a billion, gajillion, infinite million. God has us. God has us so good, right? That it doesn't matter what we focus on, He will bring it into our lives. When we're looking around our life and seeing, oh, this is out of place, that's out of place, focusing on the negative, all that is doing is asking God to bring more of that into our life, because that's how the term ask in the vibrational sense doesn't mean to intentionally ask. And that is why intention is so important. Because we ask no matter what. We ask just by putting our attention on something. Whatever we put our attention on, manifests. There's this amazing saying that like all of these spiritual teachers probably that I've studied say, and it's where attention goes, energy flows. Wherever we put our attention, that becomes bigger in our lives. There's been times where I have been going through frustrating circumstances and just got so consumed by those circumstances. And I really, truly believe that there's times in my life that like everything was going wrong. Everything was going wrong. And I was like, damn, yo, I cannot catch a break. Like I just got bad news yesterday. Now I'm getting bad news again. And in 5 minutes, it's probably going to be the worst news of my life. Like it was just constant. But it was because that was where my focus was. Every time something went wrong, I was complaining about it. Every time something went wrong, my whole focus went there for hours trying to figure out what I have to do to get out of it. But we can turn that around just by putting our trust in the divine. So how is that? How was that for everybody? What did you kind of receive? Did that open up anything for you? Did that resonate with you? What's going on in your minds and in your hearts right now?
Yeah, it definitely resonated with me. And there was a part that you said, I didn't write it down and I don't remember what you said. But I think I don't remember what you said, but a lot of that made a lot of sense. Like I feel like you broke it down in a way that someone who perhaps doesn't know anything about the law of attraction and about manifesting and about like um releasing and letting go, because I think that's probably the part that most people have the most trouble with. Like it's easy to say I want this, but then for you to not be in control of the how can cause a lot of like anxiety, because then you kind of feel like you need to do, like you still need to do, but you feel overwhelmed by not knowing what you need to do. So I like how you explain all of that, like the parent-child relationship and just trusting that like the universe is your parent and that it's going to take care of you. I really liked how you how you put that.
Thank you. Awesome. I'm
You're
glad that
welcome.
resonated with you and landed for you. Joanna, how was it for you?
For me, it was your thoughts on rising above the negative, like starting off your day because you stubbed your toe, everything else is just going to go wrong. So just trying to rise above that, even if it's like at the end of the day and it's been a long day and you come home, instead of, I guess, using your analogy of the dishes, like, why are the dishes still in the sink? Who cares? Sort
So
of thing.
true.
Just rising above that and looking for positives instead, I guess, is what I took away from that. And yeah.
Definitely true. Definitely true. And when it comes to emotions, especially the lower end of the emotions, like emotions exist on a scale, right? It's just like pretty much everything exists on a scale. So emotions in the low end, you have things like depression, apathy, and it moves up to like sadness and anger, frustration, etc. It's really important to know this, because what got me out of depression was realizing that when I'm frustrated, I'm actually not depressed. When I'm angry, I'm actually not depressed. And I'm sad, I'm actually not depressed. And I started to actually celebrate being frustrated. I remember when a part of my life is that when my daughter was conceived, like that was a really challenging time for me. That was like the hardest thing that I've ever been through. I was really, really depressed with that. And I remember the first time that I realized that I felt frustrated. And I basically was happy in that moment, because I had gotten this information not long before that frustration was something that was different than depression. And I was like, so I'm not actually always depressed. Like I'm not actually what I think I am. And that's the trick with negative emotions. They will keep us in a loop going like this, because we relate to it all as one thing. Whereas the upper emotions, we feel the difference between being content and being overjoyed. It's not so easy with the difference between being depressed and frustrated. So that's something to keep in mind when it comes to trying to find positives, like depending on where we're at. So back to manifestation, right? Again, there's two sides to manifesting anything. First is attention, the other is intention. Deepak Chopra says, attention energizes, intention transforms. So we're going back to that analogy about the boat. Attention's the engine. Wherever we put the engine, the engine's constantly going. Wherever we put our attention, the engine goes that way. It isn't until we bring intention into it that we can actually use that energy to transform our lives. And that is why, listen, you're going to hear me talk about intention over and over and over tonight. Because putting intention into everything you do is the way to develop bringing the thing that you want into your reality. So I also had this note here that just says, attention is what you focus on. Intention is how you transform it from what it is to what you want it to be. We're going to revisit detachment really quick, right? Releasing the how. That's essentially what detachment is, or surrender. I really like the term surrender as well, because for me, surrender really implies trust. Surrender means that there's something to surrender to. You know what I mean? It means there's something that I know is stronger than me, and I can lean on that thing and just let it take control of all of the how and figure it all out for me. So I guess the goal is to kind of release the how and focus on how you're flowing. Not how you're going to achieve your goal, but how is the energy flowing through you in this moment? That means, am I in a space of trust? Another thing to keep in mind is that when we're too concerned about how, all that means is that, one, we're not confident in the ability of the universe. And you can go back to that parent-child thing that I said. Because the truth is that nobody teaches us to, like, we talk about faith in church and stuff like that, but nobody really teaches us what faith means. Faith is an action. Faith is not a feeling. It's a feeling. It is a feeling. But it's not just this, it's not passive. It's active, right? Faith is is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen. What that means is when you set the intention to have faith, you are manifesting in that moment. Going back to the universe and the composition of the universe being vibrational, to have a thought is a physical thing. It's not tangible, but it is physical. When we think about evidence, we think about things that you can pick up and interact with, right? But when we look at the universe on a whole, we understand that vibrations have different frequencies. And that thing that I can pick up, the only reason that I can pick it up is because it exists at a frequency that I can interact with my hands. But the other things like thought and feeling, those things I can interact with my intention. The other half of being too focused on the how is not being clear on the why. Why do I want to do this thing? A lot of the time, we can get caught up into doing things to kind of gratify our own ego. And if we're in that space, it's easy to be unclear. But that's a purposeful thing, because that lack of clarity is a signal to say, hey, really think about what's going on here. Why are you focusing on what you're focusing on? And then to actually get clear on what you really want to do. Because our ego would usurp anything that we're trying to do. No matter what the true, deeper, pure purpose is that we have, our ego would just come and cover it up and be like, yo, this is all about me. This is about me getting followers on Instagram. This is about me being famous. This is about me getting money. And at the core, most of us really just want to serve other people, be supports to other people, provide something to somebody else that helps them on their journey. Getting really clear on that relationship, how or why you want to serve other people, sometimes just doing that in itself alleviates the how completely, or it provides answers to the how. It provides the next steps. Also, I want to keep in mind, like, about manifesting. When we actually enter this space of flow, and not even only then, there are times when we are unable to notice the manifestations that happen around us. So if it's a high vibrational thing, sometimes we're just in the flow and things are constantly manifesting. And it's, in that space, it's really okay not to notice, but I think it's always good to acknowledge and give thanks for the manifestations that happen in our lives. But on the lower vibrational end of it, we can be really consumed with the negative things that are going on in our lives to the point that we don't see anything outside of that. So things that we asked for are manifesting and we're not even noticing it. Like going back to what I was just saying about negative emotions, if I'm depressed and I want to feel better, I might feel angry the next day. That's a positive manifestation that I didn't even notice that was happening because I was so focused on my depression. You feel me? Or I might be angry or whatever, like consumed with a negative emotion. And part of me just wants my daughter to have a nice day at school. And she comes home, she has a nice day. And I'm like, okay, honey, yeah, that was really cool. Like, let me get back to what I was doing. That was a manifestation that I missed. I asked for that. I put that intention out there, but because I was so consumed with what I was doing, I missed it. And when we miss it, we think it's not happening. So all of this to say, be on the lookout. And this doesn't mean to be micromanaging. There's a difference. Be intentional about noticing when the manifestations show up, and be intentional about giving thanks for them. Okay, So that is it for manifestation for now. Any questions? Okay. So this next thing that we're going to get into is also extremely fundamental. Like we talked about the law of attraction because it frames the way that the universe works, right? So now we're learning how to interact with things to bring into existence the things that we want. Or we're learning we're learning the rules of this game, basically, with the law of attraction. So take for the example, if somebody teaches you how to drive a car, but they teach you wrong, you're never going to be able to drive that car. You know, like you would be thinking, yo, this car doesn't work. Like it's not getting me from point A to point B. Like I'm clicking the windshield wipers and the indicators coming on. But really, you just had an instructor who didn't know what they were talking about. Like you were clicking the indicator, but they told you it was the windshield wiper, you know? And it's the same for not understanding how life works, not understanding how the universe works. So we want to get that piece in place first. But this piece here is also extremely fundamental. Like I even struggled with which one I should put first because this is the frame of how we act. This one's more about our own perspective and perception, which frames how we interact with what the universe is on that fundamental level. So going back to when I was saying how I always felt that there was something missing. When I was able to distinguish what was going on, it was more so that there were some things that I was doing that were disempowering me, and some things that I could have been doing to empower myself that I wasn't doing. Doing is the key word here. The first thing that I was doing, I was always trying to fix myself. Like all of these different personal development books that I read and tools that I learned and spiritual things, I was doing all of those things because I felt like I wasn't, like the way that I wasn't able to have the things that I wanted. So I needed to fix me in order to get those things. And that's disempowering. Can you, like, if a person is constantly trying to fix themselves, there's a fundamental core belief attached to that. Like there's a reason for that. Can anybody distinguish what that is, or what might you think it is? And there's no right or wrong answers here. Like I am pointing at something, but the things that we bring up are still going to be relevant, even if they're not the same as what I'm pointing at.
You think you're broken if you feel like you need to fix yourself.
Exactly. That's definitely part of it. And it's even more fundamental than that too, because that broken feeling, which is definitely what I was feeling, is a manifestation of this deeper rooted belief. Anybody else want to take a swing at it?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Basically, I was saying that I was always in a space where I was trying to fix myself, and that fixing myself as an action is rooted from something deeper, like it's rooted in a deeper belief. And I'm asking if you can distinguish what that belief might be.
Okay. So yeah, I agree with what Juane said. I also think, well, when you for some reason when you said that, I thought of like relationships, And when like you're trying to find someone to complete you, so then by doing so, that means that you in and of yourself, you're not a whole person. So maybe trying to fix yourself, it also says that you're not whole, and that could make people feel like they need to find something outside of themselves to be more whole.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're all saying, what I'm gonna say is different than that, but it's still the same thing. Like when they said broken, Alicia said incomplete. What I'm gonna say is not enough, not being enough. These are all different ways to say the same thing. But that's how I felt. I didn't feel like the way that I was good enough to have the things that I wanted. And I felt like I had to fix myself in order to get those things. What I didn't realize is that disempowering, not enough feeling wasn't about me being good enough at all. Like it wasn't even about me. What I learned was that basically I had just been fed a system of beliefs and habits from other people that led me to feel that way about myself. And I was perpetuating these habits. Like I had a lot of very, very, very self-critical self-talk. I was constantly judging myself. And I used to judge myself in such hard, my God, like I would never talk to another person the way that I talk to myself. So again, these are all actions. Like, and I really want to reinforce that. Like, this feeling that something was missing was me not talking to myself nicely. That's a big part of it. We like to mystify it. We meaning people who talk about these things in mass media and stuff. Something's missing. We hear that so often, right? We mystify it, but it's actually something that is an action. It's something that we're doing. So that's what I was doing. I was practicing this disempowering belief system. These were my habits. I thought it was my identity. I thought that's who I was. I thought I wasn't enough, but really, I just had the habit of believing that I wasn't enough. I had the habit of doing certain things that reinforce that belief system. Habits are things that we do. Identity is who we are. This is fundamental for change. This is fundamental for transformation. Think about it this way, right? Just hold your pen for a second. Can you stop holding your pen if you want to? Of course, because it's something that you're doing. Can you stop being you? No, because it's who you are. You see what I mean? So separating the things that we do, like you're not, I'm holding pen. Think about it. You know what I mean? Like that's not something that you would say about yourself. You would never identify yourself as holding pen. Like, this is just who I am. I'm just constantly walking around like this because this is who I am. You know how people have negative, toxic behaviors and they're like, I can't change that. It's just a part of who I am. This is literally what they're saying. I'm walking around with this pen in my hand and this is just who I am, fam. But bro, just what if you put the pen down? It's who I am. So we're learning in this moment to separate, first to identify that our belief systems and our habits and a lot of the ways that we feel about ourselves are things that we do. And when we can objectify them, we can separate them from ourselves. Now it's something I can put down and I can pick up something else, just like the pen. And this is, again, this concept is fundamental to making deep transformational evolutionary, metamorphic kind of change. Being able to separate concepts of what you do from who you are is necessary for that. Because you are so powerful that you can create a reality where you believe that you are these things. And you can literally convince everybody else in that reality that you are those things as well. And that once you believe that you are that, you see that in your life. You end up living those results. So look at it on the flip side. Okay. We know that we have disempowering behaviors now, things that we do. We thought they were who we are. We tied them to ourselves and it made us feel bad about ourselves, right? On the other hand, okay, we have high vibrational behaviors and practices that we can start bringing into our lives. And the beautiful thing about it is, it's not wrong to identify with a behavior. Going back to what I said earlier, does it empower me or does it disempower me? If identifying with a positive behavior empowers you, then identify with it. Bring that thing so close to you that it's a piece of who you are. Like, I'm compassionate. I'm empathetic. That is who I am. I know well enough to know that those are things that I do. Am I gonna, for the sake of my own growth, consider them things that I do? No, I'm gonna consider those things who I am because it empowers me. And again, I just want to re-emphasize, right, that beliefs are habits, things that we continue to think over and over again until we believe that they're true. And most of the time, we learn these things in our childhood. And now when we've learned something before the age of 7, it's locked into our being, like it's locked into our body. It's not a function of our mind. We can't just say, okay, it takes a little more work than that. But it is possible to start practicing a different belief system and to create some separation between that. But my point is, a lot of the time, we don't even get introduced to a new belief system until we're adults. Like, we spend so much of our lives surrounded by our family, surrounded by our classmates, our teachers, our friends, who are all practicing very similar disempowering behaviors, who are all saying that, oh, you're a naughty girl, you're a good girl, you're a bad kid, that boy's rude. And you're learning all this time to identify with your behaviors. You're learning that you're what you do, which is not true, because you are the image and likeness of God. That's it. Anything you do is your choice, but who you are is divinity. So we grow up, we get introduced to a new belief system. We decide that we want to make change in our lives. We feel inspired, not all the time. Sometimes we want to change because we feel depressed, but we have hope, right? And we start to take on the task, let's call it, of transformation. And it doesn't go well. This happened to me for many years. Like I said, I was learning so many things, but it always felt like something was missing. It always felt like that didn't matter how much I learned, I wasn't making progress. Didn't matter. And part of the reason that happens is because or even to say it this way, it's hard to keep up. Like, a lot of the time we fail in changing because we can't keep up with the new habits that we're working to create. And the reasons for that are things like it feels hard, right? Taking on a new habit feels a lot harder than just doing what you usually do. But the truth is that it's actually not harder, it's just different, right? So if, put it this way, if you have a kid who's raised on a full diet, who eats meat and whatnot, and they grow up and taste veggie meat, they're like, oh my God, like this is gross. But if you have a kid who's raised on veggie meat and they grow up and try beef for the first time, they might say that this tastes disgusting too. But the truth is that that's just each person's individual perspective. It's actually not gross, it's just different. And it's the same thing with our habits. They're actually not harder to do. A lot of the new habits that we want to bring into our lives make our lives easier, but it seems like we almost can't do them. For example, alcoholism is a habit that a lot of people struggle with. And it's something that you know that just stopping is better. It's actually easier to not drink than it is to drink, because you don't have to pick up a bottle. All you have to do is sit there. You see what I mean? But because it's so different from what we're used to, it feels harder. So distinguishing that things are actually not harder and that they're different is something that I found really empowering. Like, for one great example that I personally use all the time is with exercise. Like, a couple years ago, and I would exercise until I felt the burn, and then I'd be like, oh yeah, I can't go no further because it's burning. What I started to realize this year, or in the last like 4 months or something like that, is, okay, this is just another feeling. Right now, I feel warm, comfortable in my chair, and I'm here. When I feel pain, I just feel pain. I can actually keep going when I feel pain. I didn't realize that before. I was like, okay, it's time to stop. I can keep going. So distinguishing that it's different and not harder is super, super, super empowering. Another reason that we have a struggle changing is, again, what I was saying about the pen. We start identifying our habits with who we are. And when it's an identity issue, it feels impossible to change. And going back to that same thing that we did, can you put your pen down? Of course you can. Can you change who you are? No. When you think that what you do is who you are, you automatically believe it's impossible to change. Another reason that is really difficult for us to create change is because we don't have evidence that these things actually work. And even if they work for somebody else, like so many things that I've tried in my life, like I'm like, okay, I see you, bro. Like, I see this person, this man or this woman, they seem ultra successful. And I'm like, that doesn't mean it's going to work for me. And so it doesn't work. So that's how the universe works, right? As soon as I don't believe it, the universe is like, okay, sure. You asked for it by not believing. So you got a lifestyle where you don't believe that you can do it. And that distrust causes us like to have no faith. And that shows in our actions. And we do things like self-sabotage in different ways through procrastination or poor time management, or getting involved with the wrong people on any different level, like romantic partners, getting into the wrong jobs, getting into the wrong friend circles. All of those things are manifestations of self-sabotaging behavior. The final and most fundamental reason that we have a struggle with change is because our survival mechanism kicks in. The survival mechanism is something that is an ancient part of our human anatomy, so to speak. Not our physical anatomy, but more like our psychological anatomy. Back in the days when our ancestors were like hunter-gatherers, there were real threats of actually, you know, like they could literally die any day. Like they can get snatched up by a saber-toothed tiger anytime. Like it was really dangerous back then to be a human. So a psychological trigger that we now know as a survival mechanism developed. And what it does is that it reacts. It causes us to have certain physical reactions when we venture too far away from the area that we consider safe. Right? That's what was going on with them. It was physical safety. They get to the edge of their safe area. They start to have things like the what is it called? The flight or fight kinds of reactions, right? You tense up, you get prepared for anything. So fast forward 30 million years or whatever it is, and here we are in 2021. All of us are looking really comfortable inside structures, houses. Saber-toothed tigers are not roaming around. You know, like death by animal in most Western societies is highly unlikely. So the survival mechanism doesn't have to worry about those things, but it still exists. So it projects itself onto other things and it projects onto our emotions. So for instance, in this process of change, when we are leaving our comfort zone, our survival mechanism kicks in. Our emotional comfort zone, like this, what we identify as our routines and things like that, like the places that we feel comfortable. When we're leaving those places and spaces and even ways of beings, our survival mechanism kicks in and it's like, yeah, this ain't safe. This isn't safe. This literally is making absolutely no sense because it could be perfectly safe. Sometimes people walk into a new job, right? And they feel this tension or anxiety. There's nothing unsafe about being in a new workspace, but the survival mechanism is convincing us that there is something unsafe going on. And it happens when we're trying to transform ourselves too, because the concept that we hold of our identity is what our ego considers safe. When we are taking on new pieces of our identity and leaving old pieces behind, the ego relates to that as physical death. Like the survival mechanism is like, I am actually dying. My identity is dying right now. And it relates to it. It goes all the way back to those ancestral times, hunter-gatherer days. And it's like, I'm actually dying. And it does everything in its power to stop you from changing so that you can hold on to that identity that you think is you. Okay, so those are the things that were present for me when I was having this feeling that something was missing. How is everybody doing so far? Cool, cool, cool. So what was missing? Actually, before we get into that, like we've been sitting around for a while, so let's just stimulate ourselves really quickly to help the learning stick. You ain't gotta dance this time. Only if you want to. You want to?
No, all's well.
We don't have enough time for another dance session. But let's just stretch out, shake your arms out, shake your arms out, shake your legs out, Shake your legs out. Move your head around. Stand up if you want to. Just move around really quick. Just re-stimulate, re-stimulate. Okay, so what was missing? We talked about what was present. Was anybody able to figure out what the thing is that was missing? You just want me to give you the answer? I could do that. This is literally my favorite part of this whole thing. This piece right here. Self-love. Self-love was the thing that was missing. And self-love, just like all the other things that we talked about, self-love is an action. It's something that you do. It's not a mysterious concept of, do I love myself or not? It's not waking up in the morning and feeling like, oh, I don't feel good today. Everything that we are right now is a result of something that we've practiced over and over and over again. It's not who you are. Switching from our old practices to this new practice of active self-love means that at a certain point, we will be able to wake up and feel great, feel happiness, feel love for ourselves, because we've established this as our practice to the point where it becomes entangled with our identity. The other aspect of this is we talked about not being enough. The other half of self-love is knowing that you are enough, being enough. Now, I'm bringing intention back into this, right? This self-love and enough is the box that everything fits into. It's the intention that I suggest that you put into everything that you do. Even when you have other, secondary or tertiary intentions on top of that, like specifics, things that you want to achieve, things that you want to purchase. The specifics are fine, right? But all of the actions, all of the specifics, all of the details go into this box of self-love and enoughness. That means whatever you're doing is enough. Sometimes we feel like, going back to what Alicia was saying, right? I feel like I need to be doing this. I feel like I need to be doing that. I've done that my whole life, right? It's a practice. It's something that I have practiced with. It's something that I'm comfortable with. What I wasn't comfortable with, what I never learned, what I never practiced, was enoughness. So now, instead of saying, I need to do this, I need to do that, I can say what I'm doing is enough. And I have faith that the rest will come to be. Because the universe, you have to understand me here, like open, just feel your heart open and just absorb this one. The universe can do anything. It's infinite. It's infinite. God is almighty. These little details that you cannot figure out because we've been trained to think in a linear way don't matter to the universe. The universe is quantum. We think linearly, the universe is just like, fam, I'm everywhere at once. What do you mean? I'm everywhere at once. The stuff that we try to line up, I always think about finances, right? I was talking to my dad today about how people think about finances. And it's this thing like, okay, I make this much money at my job. This thing costs this much. If I work for this many hours, by this day, by this paycheck, I'll be able to buy that thing. If you project that onto the universe is going to show you that. If you allow the universe, if you allow God to be God, if you allow the infiniteness of the universe to actually be infinite, that's what it's going to do. And in order to really surrender to that, we have to acknowledge that what we're doing is enough. Because our part is to desire. The universe's part is to fulfill. We are part of the universe, don't get me wrong. Like, our actions are a big part of how we fulfill our desires. But we can't be micromanaging everything all of the time. We gotta sit back in this context of I am enough, practice it. At first, it's not gonna feel true. That's cool, don't worry about that. It is true, believe it for yourself. And practice it until it feels natural. So again, like this is it. Like I say, self-love is the secret sauce. This is the cherry on top. This is the thing. Honestly, this is the thing, and it's a practice, right? So how do we cultivate this practice? Great question. Plenty of ways. My favorite way to cultivate self-love is literally to say I love myself over and over again. In times where I feel like I'm failing, or I feel like I messed up, or I didn't do good enough, I'll just be like, okay, I love you. 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 Until I settle into a vibration that is actually me feeling love for myself. But there's plenty of ways to create self-love. And I've listed some suggestions here that I'm gonna go over. We're not gonna be able to get through this whole thing because I was ambitious. Like, I wanted to give you guys a lot of information. But I will be able to put together something that I can send to you within the week that has the rest of the practices and information in it. And you can do it in your own time, and you can always hit me up for support. But I'm gonna go over this list of my suggestions. And they're not ranked in any particular order, but these are things that I do to cultivate self-love, right? Feel free to ask questions at the end on any of these, because some of them seem very surface level, but there is a deeper purpose to all of them. The first I have is massage, right? Getting, again, the body involved. Like I said before, we hold tension in our body. The tension that we hold in our body a lot of the times is from an emotional cause. When we get a massage, if we get a massage with the intention of releasing some of that tension and even getting clear on what that tension is, where it's from, that's what's going to happen. Because we infuse intention into it, because we believe that we're enough, because we're doing this as a way to love ourselves, the result actually comes to be. Meditation, as we already done and talked about, so I'm not going to go any deeper into that. Exercise, again, a way to get the body involved. One of the reasons that exercise is so important is because it's a very easy way to see that you are more capable than you think you are. When you're exercising and it gets hard, all you got to do is keep going. I know it doesn't seem to play out that easy when you do it, but that's pretty much it. And when you actually do that, when you actually decide in that moment where it feels like you can't go one more, to do one more, and then do two more, and then three more, after that third one, you feel like a beast, and you recognize who you are. Like, you recognize that, there's something more to me than I actually knew. Exercise is a really great way to do that. Hydration, super important for living a high vibrational lifestyle, because All of this stuff is us using up our energy. So we got to replenish it. We got to keep our body healthy. And one of the most important ways to do that is through hydration. Intimacy. Intimacy doesn't necessarily mean intimacy in relation with another person. Intimacy with ourselves is more important, is the most important kind of intimacy. Being able to cultivate our relationship with ourselves. I used to ask myself, well, how? Like, I know how to love another person. I know how to be intimate with another person, but I'm here by myself. Like, how do I do that? Some of the things that I do, like I say, I love myself all the time. I hug myself. This actually feels really good. This is a good practice. Hug yourself. Just feel how nurturing that is. I kiss myself sometimes. I'll just be. These things we know feel good when other people do it to us. We know that it feels good to do it to another person. Pour it into yourself. Pour it into yourself. Develop that relationship of intimacy. I lived 34 years before I ever kissed myself. And I'm right here. I've been here the whole time. Like, I don't even know myself that well that I've kissed other people plenty of times. I've never kissed myself. Like, I've hugged myself hundreds of times less than I've hugged other people. But these are ways that we can cultivate love within ourselves. Sleep. Sleep as a ritualized practice. Being intentional about sleep. And again, everything that we're talking about on this list, we're talking about in the context of using it as a way to show ourselves that we love ourselves, as well as whatever I'm doing is enough. Intuitive food practices. What that means is, I know in my life, a lot of the time, I feel like I have two voices going on. I have this voice of what my habits think I should be eating. And then I have this like deeper voice that is for years was like, bro, go vegan. I'm vegan now, but like I've been trying to go vegan for at least 4 years. So I started to, instead of doing the habitual thing, I started the practice of listening to my intuitive food desires. I'm still learning this process myself, but it has made a good change in my life. Nature walks. Nature is a really good place to experience God. Nature is where you see God in action. There are infinite different systems that go on in nature. Like if you just get clear, get calm, and observe, mysteries will be revealed to you. I promise you. Go out into nature, walk around, have a meditative walk. There's other positive physical benefits to this too. Like there's the Japanese practice of forest bathing, where people intentionally go into forest and walk around. They wander around for hours because the air is significantly more oxygenated and pure in those spaces. And the physical benefits of breathing that pure oxygen are things like increased energy and increased calmness and stuff like that. So nature walks, always, always, always on my list. Self-forgiveness as a practice. Being intentional about forgiving yourself. It's really powerful to forgive yourself. Like, I mean, I think probably the first time that I forgave myself, I was definitely in my mid or late 20s. And it's not something that I practice on a regular basis, but some people practice this on like a weekly, daily kind of basis, where just acknowledge the things that you're unhappy about. And one of the exercises that I'm going to give you this week involve this. But you just acknowledge it and you release it and you feel lighter. Mantras or affirmations, if you will. But depending on who you learn from, the difference between affirmations and mantras is that the specific reason for doing a mantra is not the words that we're speaking. So we're going back to that journaling exercise where we're writing and writing and writing, but we're really focusing on embodying the feeling. That's what mantras are all about. They're about embodying the feeling. So basically what you do is you create a phrase for yourself that represents something that you want to achieve. You put yourself in that mental space in the same way that we did with the visualization and the journaling. And you repeat it over and over to yourself. And you basically bring that thing closer to your reality. Improving self-talk. This one is huge. Self-criticism, self-judgment, self-deprecation, or if I'm saying that word right, these things lower our vibration significantly. A lot of the reason that we feel the way we feel and we're feeling bad is because we are speaking to ourselves the wrong way over and over again. And when I say wrong, what I mean is in a way that is not aligned with the desire that we have. So if my desire is just a random thing, right, to be a millionaire, and I'm constantly disrespecting myself with my self-talk and saying how stupid I am, the likeliness of me actually achieving that goal is significantly reduced than if I had a good conversation with myself going on in my mind. And this is towards anything that we want. When we hold judgment against ourselves, we create negative emotions and we bring negative situation into our spaces. Uplifting music and movement and dance. We covered that, so I'm gonna get no deeper into that for now. Journaling. Renee spoke a good bit on journaling, but I'll just add to what she said and say that journaling is also, the reason that it's so therapeutic is because it's a way to transmute energy. Like you literally, if you do journaling, I suggest doing journaling with the intention of releasing energy from your body. Focus that energy that's in your body through your arm into the pen and onto the paper and let it go. Let it go. Let it go onto that paper and let it exist on that paper, no longer in your body. And another beautiful practice to completely release that is when, especially when the emotions are significantly heavy, is to burn the paper after you're finished. Stretching and yoga. Again, going back to the body, holding our trauma, holding emotions, etc. Focusing on when we stretch, if we can focus on some of these spots in our body that hold tension or pain and breathe into those spaces. Like imagine the breath that you're taking in, going into those spaces and delivering something like love or peace into that space helps to alleviate some of the tension that's going on there, especially if it's a continualized, ritualized practice. Conscious scheduling. Actually, before that, boundaries, right? Boundaries is a way to really step into your own self-worth, because in that moment, we say, okay, I deserve enough from myself to ask someone else to respect me in that same way. And scheduling is actually a boundary that we have within ourselves, like being respectful about the way that we schedule our time is extremely, extremely important. or it has been for me, it's something that has really changed my life in a very positive way. Conscious social media. If you're on social media, you've probably heard people talk about how negative social media is. There is a stigma about social media in the world that a lot of people believe that it's just a negative thing. Social media in my life has improved my business. It's given me a community. It's given me real, actual friends, like people who I've never even met in person, but people who I feel like I can lean on and talk to. Social media used in an intentional and conscious way is a beautiful tool for inspiration and so many more things. Curating the people that you spend your time with, right? This is the same thing as having conscious social media, accepting real life, right? You spend time with the people who uplift you and empower you, and you unfriend and unfollow the people who don't. And sometimes it's really hard to do that, right? But at a certain point, in order to really achieve breakthrough the current level and break into a new level, we really have to stop worrying about what other people think about us. Sometimes it's family, sometimes it's friends that we have to stop being around. And sometimes it feels like a responsibility comes with that relationship. Like, I have to be here because this is my X, Y, or Z. But when it's really about you becoming fully expressed and being the person that you're meant to be, you have to take that seriously. And it's got to be more serious than what other people think about you. Excuse me. Because again, the universe is quantum. It's not linear. Like when we say, okay, this is my cousin, you know, I gotta be around this person because they're my cousin. And you're like, okay, or it's your friend. And you're like, okay, well, if I don't leave this person, then I keep a friend. That's not how the universe works. When you do something here, the universe is doing infinite different things in infinite other places that can impact what you're doing here. So when you focus on putting yourself in the best space to be the person that can actually pour your purpose into the world, by removing people from your life, the universe is going to put other people into your life, people that you didn't even know existed. And those people are going to create connections with you that do things that you would have never been able to do with the other people in your life. And one thing that's really beautiful and encouraging is to know that sometimes when you leave these other people and let them have their own journey, years later in the future, they get to a place where they catch up to you and you can rekindle that friendship. And the last one is mirror work. And I'm just gonna, again, like everything we're just really touching on for now since we don't have a lot of time left. But mirror work is basically standing in front of the mirror and speaking mantras or affirmations, speaking words of life over yourself. Looking yourself in the eye and telling yourself how much you love you and feeling it. And again, infusing everything with intention. So you're going into the mirror with the intention of receiving love from yourself, knowing that you're enough. So those are those practices. I'm just going to pause for 2 minutes just to run to the restroom. I'll be right back though, and then we'll start to close up. Okay. So how is everyone doing at this point? What's going on? What's on your minds? What's on your heart? What are you feeling? We're getting ready to wrap up, so let's just have some open dialogue really quickly.
I feel grateful. That's the energy that I feel right now. Definitely, lots of notes that I wrote down, lots of things that I knew but needed to be reminded, and then things that I hadn't thought of. Yeah, so I just feel really grateful. Like I said, my intention was to receive information that will help me further align with my purpose. So like I feel like that was achieved. So yeah, grateful, motivated. I'm gonna give myself some kisses tonight because I've never done that before.
It's healing.
No.
It's healing. It's a magical day.
I'm actually looking forward to that.
Amen, girl.
Yeah.
Alicia, you want to talk next? Okay, let's see.
Yeah, so I overall really enjoyed this experience. I like to see things from other people's perspective. So I enjoyed like listening to the way that you explain things. And I liked mostly like the last part about the self-love. And I like that everything that you mentioned were actions, like things that you can do for yourself. And the one that stuck out for me most is the forgiveness bit. Like I'm a really good at a grudge. I could hold on to stuff for a bit. So that's something that I'm continually working on. And I like that you mentioned that that's a part of showing yourself love, especially since we tend to be so hard on ourselves as people and putting all of these rules on ourselves as far as like what you should be doing or what you must do, blah, 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 and setting expectations that sometimes lead to us feeling badly about ourselves. So I really like that forgiveness piece of it, and something that I have to be reminded of because I don't often connect forgiveness with being an act of self-love.
I just want to nip in right quick to say that I love everything you said. And I also want to just say that anything can be an act of self-love. And that's why we focus on intention so much in this talk, is because what you intend to get out of something becomes what you get out of it. When you make intention a practice, when intention becomes a habit, you start to actually always get what you want to get out of things. Feel me?
Okay, yes, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Pleasure. Joanna, what's going on for you?
I just first of all like to say thank you very much for the session that you put on this evening. It's been very informative, and like 1A, I've taken several notes, obviously because this is very new. But as I said, it's been informative, and I liked how you just packaged everything nicely and neatly and put it into self-love. That was very powerful. But yeah, just taking away what you've talked about. And one thing that did pop up for me was maybe just asking you if you could shoot me some reading materials, like, for beginners, just to find some place to start with all of this. And then go from there. And also what I hung on to was being intentional about everything. So we'll take it from here and see where it goes.
Ashay, that's beautiful. I'll gladly send you some reading materials. And do you like videos and whatnot too?
Um, Either way, I'm easy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because YouTube was like my best friend in my spiritual journey. Plenty of stuff on YouTube that even to this day, literally today, I watched a YouTube video to get inspired to do some of the things that I wanted to do today.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you. I'm glad that some things resonated with you. How do you feel in the end? Going back to what you said at the beginning about feeling outside of your depth, you still feel like that?
Maybe not as much. But yeah, I think there's more to be learned from what you've talked about this evening. And as I said earlier, Alicia and Wane obviously have a really good understanding about these sorts of things. And it seems like they have it together, like they know how to go about navigating all of this and navigating life and rising above and vibrating higher. And it's impressive. I'd really like to feel that, I guess, if that's the way that I could put it. It's just been inspirational to listen to you and listen to the two young ladies there as well and get different views on all of this. So thanks to everybody.
Mm. I'm so glad you two were here for her, because that's amazing. Because I love having other knowledgeable people, because then you get to hear from different perspectives, and one perspective might sit with you a little better than another. You know what I mean? But again, these two are really dynamic and brilliant with the things that they're sharing. So I would suggest to find a way to follow what they're doing or get in touch with them.
Yes,
And
thanks, Monet, for your email as well. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'm here for you too. Any questions that you have, if you want to, have a talk, just open discussion on what's happening for you, please, I'll gladly have that talk with you.
Thanks. I just one other thing. I found it interesting that you brought God into it, because several years ago I had spoken to somebody and they were like, spirituality has nothing to do with God whatsoever. And I think you, to a certain point, you made that clear as well. Like, if you don't believe in God, there's something else that is driving this. So it was just interesting to, again, get your perspective on how all of this works. It could include God. It might not include God.
Exactly.
So it's just been very interesting and eye-opening.
I'm glad. Yeah, that's something that I find is really important, is we're all pointing at the same thing and calling it by different names. What we're venturing to do is explain the phenomenon that's here. We can't deny that it is something, right? How did I get here? Like, I've gone through lengths on my spiritual journey, and I've seen things that would shake a person, that shook me to the core foundation. Like, I'm like, what is reality?
Yeah.
How does this whole thing work? And there has to be something else other than me holding it together. You know what I mean? So whatever that thing is,
yes,
call it whatever you want to call it, whatever empowers you, as I said before.
Is it okay if I just add something
Yes.
quickly? I just wanted to say to Joanna, you said that Alicia and I think you said we have it together or something along those lines. And I just want to tell you, like, give yourself grace because you have it together too, you know, for where you are right now. And like Kashai said earlier, being here with us is evidence that you're vibrating with us. So it's not like we have it together and you don't, you know, it's just we are manifesting it differently. And so
Right.
I know for me, I have to give myself grace a lot because I don't think I have it together, you
Right.
know, but I am exactly where I'm supposed to be on this journey. So I just want to encourage you that, you know, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be anywhere else. Like, this is exactly how it's supposed to be, you know, and in, I don't know, whatever amount of time, you're going to be in a different place, and that's going to be exactly where you're supposed to be. So
Right.
just want to encourage you, you know, it's
Thanks.
beautiful, beautiful journey.
Yes, I just find that life just seems very habitual. Like,
Mhm.
life is good, don't get me wrong. Like, I have a husband who fully supports me, have an 8-year-old son, and like I said earlier, you know, my career is going well, but it just feels like it needs something else, some sort of purpose, and I just want to figure out what that is. I don't know, but I'm just hoping that what I've heard this evening just kind of opens up those doors and it's just like, oh, here it is. This is what you were looking for. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey this evening. Thanks, guys.
You're so welcome. And to that, I just want to say, the secret is that it's in the actions. Again, the feelings, we've been taught to mystify the feelings. Like, it feels like something's missing. It feels like I need purpose. Feelings are a result of our habits. So as you start developing these habits into your life, as you start pouring love into yourself, when you're doing that on a daily basis, when you're comfortable, when it's your habit to pour into yourself, I guarantee you that you'll be living with purpose. Your purpose will uncover itself through these actions. I guarantee it. Self-love is a secret sauce. It's the thing that is missing. It is the thing that is missing. And there is infinite depth to self-love. There's not a point in my life where I thought that I didn't love myself. And it was still the thing that was missing until I found out how to do it as a practice, as an action. All right, ladies. We've reached the 9 o'clock mark. I want to thank you so much for sticking with me. We had a good bit of other stuff to cover, but I will send it to you. And these are practices that I would love for you to do. And I would love for you to let me know when you've done them and the impact that they had on you. I'm not going to tell you what they are now. I'm going to send it to you in an email before the end of the week. Yeah, I feel high vibrational just like I intended. I'm thankful that all of you ladies are here with me. I'm thankful for all your different perspectives. Joanna, in particular, I'm really thankful for your trust in staying here and, going outside of your comfort zone is really special to me to have you on your call. And it's also special to me to have Renee, who I've known for ages, literally my whole life, and Alicia, who holds a special place in my heart too on this call. So, as with everything, intention is infused. I'm going to bring this ceremony, I'm gonna call it, to a close with intention by Just a short prayer. So just close your eyes with me. Take a nice deep breath and get centered. Great Spirit, Heavenly Father, Source, Divine Intelligence, all of the many names that you carry, the phenomenon that is indisputable. Thank you, thank you, thank you for this moment. Thank you for your presence here with us. Thank you for opening us up to receive what we intended to receive from this. Thank you for putting us in a space with other people who we can lean on and learn from. Thank you for giving us the dynamic energy that we experienced in this workshop. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as we move forward with intention, we say that it is so, that intention is always at the top of our heads as we do anything in our lives. That whenever we look to do something new or create a practice, that we're taken back to the moments in this workshop that resonated the most with us, and that we can infuse a powerful and beautiful intention of self-love and enoughness into everything that we do. I feel so much gratitude right now. And with that said, I say the words that I've learned from some of many of my teachers over the years. Aho metakyase, Ashe, Amen. And so it is. Thank you so much, ladies, for staying with me to the end. Thank you to Brother KC who had to jump off. Please continue to live with intention. And let me know what I can do for you. Let me know how I can support you in your journeys. But this is the end. Take good care. And again, please stay in touch.
Thanks
Have a
again.
blessed
Thank
night.
you.
You're
Have a good night,
welcome.
everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Night. Thanks, Kashai.
You're welcome.